All right, y'all. So I made bread pudding and it has peaches, raisins, and pecans in it. Now I know that sounds like a lot, but this is how I came up making it. Let me show you how I did it. So you're going to take some eggs and crack them and put them in a bowl. And then you're going to add some brown sugar. And you're going to beat that together and, whisk it until it's fully blended. If the sugar has any lumps in it, you want to make sure you get all the lumps out. And then you're going to add some vanilla paste or some vanilla extract, some cinnamon, about 2 teaspoons of that, some nutmeg, another 2 teaspoons of that, and then after the nutmeg, you're going to add some ginger, and only half as much ginger, so about a teaspoon of ginger, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper, not a lot, and then you're going to whisk that in and until that's fully mixed. So after that's mixed, you're gonna add some evaporated milk. So I'm gonna add 2 cans of evaporated milk to this. And then after the evaporated milk, I'm gonna add some heavy cream. Now this is a lot, this is a big recipe. I'm using a 9 by 13 pan. You can cut this in half. I made enough for me and my sister and her kids. But if you don't need that much, just cut it in half. So now you want to add your bread. So with bread pudding, you want to use stale bread, day old bread, because you need it to be dry so it don't get soggy when you baking it. So I took some, I didn't have day old bread, so I brought a fresh loaf of bread and then I toasted it and then I broke it up into pieces and then I added it to this. So you're gonna stir that up, and you don't have to really stir it a whole lot because the bread is so dry, it just absorbs all of that liquid. That's what you want. So when you're making bread pudding, the first rule is do not use fresh bread straight out the bag. So you see how I didn't have to stir it much, but yeah. So then you're gonna add your raisins, some peaches. I had some canned peaches that I cut up, and then I'm adding some pecans that I toasted, and that's like about a cup each of those. A cup of pecans, a cup of raisins, and that was a 14-ounce can of peaches. So you're gonna stir all that up and make sure everything is well blended and incorporated. Make sure you start at the bottom and you fold, lift it up so it's not like a bunch of ingredients in one spot because that's gonna be crazy. So, but yeah. So then after that, you're gonna take some melted butter and put it in your baking dish. Now you should have about at least a tablespoon of melted butter, and you're gonna pour it in there and then like brush it, make sure the pan is fully covered, and then you're gonna add your bread pudding to the pan, and then you want to spread it, make sure it's nice and even. And after that, you're going to take some aluminum foil and cover it. And you want to make sure that it's fully sealed, there's no gaps or anything because you want the steam to stay in and you don't want your bread pudding to dry out. And then you're going to bake it at 350 for about an hour. And this is what it looks like after an hour. I put it back in for another maybe 7, 8 minutes or so just so it can get a little more brown in the middle. So now I'm making the sauce for it. So I have some sweetened condensed milk here. And I'm going to add some vanilla paste. And I have it on low. I'm going to add some rum. You can also add whiskey or amaretto if you like. And a little nutmeg and a little cinnamon. And I'm going to stir that up and let it heat up on low. You don't want to do this on medium or high because then you run the risk of burning the sugar in this condensed milk. Now after that, you're going to add some butter and stir that in until it melts. And that's that for the sauce. If you want, you can caramelize this and then add a little heavy cream and some butter along with the other ingredients. That'll be really good too. But this is the finished product. This is what the bread pudding looks like. And it was so good, and it just reminded me of my childhood and all the good food that my people used to make for us. So yeah, this is my bread pudding with the peaches and the raisins and the pecans. I know it sounds like a lot. My husband tried it and he was like, "Oh my God, this is too much. I'm just used to raisins. I'm not used to all that." I'm like, "Well, this is what I'm used to. This is how I came up eating bread pudding. Y'all gotta try it because it's so good and it's just a explosion of flavors and textures while you're eating. It's really an adventure." So yeah, so then you're gonna drizzle your sauce on top of the bread pudding. Make sure you eat it warm, and this is the end result. If you try it, be sure to let me know. And the recipe is gonna be on my website. Enjoy.